We have football all day tomorrow, guys. I think we have 8 NFL preseason games. We got college football opening weekend, so should be a great day to sit back, relax, and just watch some football. But yeah, in this video, we're going to talk about the 6-game NFL preseason main slate. Before we do get into the video, though, if you guys are a first-time viewer, welcome to my channel. I do cover content for Draftkings, Prize Picks, NBA Top Shot. If you guys are looking for more in-depth content, you can check out my Patreon linked down below. Again, cover NFL, NBA, and esports. And then the sponsor for today's video, guys, is Prize Picks. I've done very, very well in NFL preseason so far in Prize Picks. Took the L tonight. A little bit unfortunate, but had a phenomenal day yesterday. We'll go over that here in a sec. If you are a new user, you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. I'm keeping an eye on the board. I don't see anything posted for the NFL preseason tomorrow. But, all right, let's recap. So, yesterday was a very, very good day for me. Cashed in Draftkings, everything. I played cash games. So, I've been playing cash games the last couple of slates just to kind of see if I think it's still worth it to play. I'm kind of like back and forth on it. I've hit both days, but it's not fun, right? It's not fun building out a cash game. No one enjoys it. No one. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, I've had it was a really good day of DraftKings yesterday, and then Prize Picks had a phenomenal day. Won about $2,000 profit. It was all basically under season yesterday, hammering, taking advantage of news. So yeah, it was a great day for Prize Picks, and then again DraftKings cashed as well. And then for DraftKings today, it was a very ugly slate. Here, let's go over the main slate. So very low scoring, right? Super low scoring slate. Just not much offense. A lot of the chalk busted. But let's kind of recap everything and talk about why I went the direction I did. So I played all 3 Patriots receivers in Nixon, Humphrey, and in Hammond. Now, to be honest here, I have absolutely zero regrets with how I played it. I think we got very unlucky with the Patriots wide receivers. So there was a little bit, there was some uncertainty going into lock. You know, everyone was assuming that like starters would not play or maybe play one drive. They played a lot more than people thought. And again, we just didn't have that clarity before lock. But even so, even with the starters playing a quarter and a half, that left 3 wide receivers to play the rest of the game. So once Brian Hoyer checked in midway through the second, it was Nixon, Humphrey, and Hammond that played the entire game at wide receiver. And the reason I say we got a little bit unlucky here is the Patriots just could not move the ball. They kept turning it over. They were run heavy too when they were down a couple of scores. I was watching this game like, what is going on here? So yeah, just got very unlucky. Nixon, Humphrey, and Hammond still played 2.5 quarters. They could have played more, right? I thought there was a chance that Patriots would just rest everyone and play these guys like the entire game. So I have zero regrets with the plays, even though Nixon and Humphrey are both popular. Hammond was the lowest owned of the bunch because he didn't do much the first couple of games, but he actually had the best game. Now, going over the rest of my lineup, I was talking about this on Patreon of how I thought running back was wide open. We knew Abraham Smith and Blackshear were going to be the chalk, and they were. But there were so many running back plays. The Dallas guys both did solid. We got Donald ruled out after lock, which was a little bit unfortunate. I got a little bit lucky there because I had Blake Davis. So that was more playing time for him, not going to lie. But, there was that. There was the Panthers backs we talked about. Lovett had I think Lovett was the highest scoring running back, I think. But the other Panthers running backs did well. Like, running back was just so wide open, or I was like, for tournaments, makes sense to maybe go to, at least one of those lower owned guys. And then Shakir, I'm a little bit tilted about this, all right? Because when I fade someone that's really good and plays the first half, they always smash, right? When I faded Romeo Doubs the first 2 slates, he played a half, he scored a touchdown each half to punish me. Shakir is basically what Romeo Doubs was, right? Shakir, super talented wide receiver that they wanted to get the ball to, and the Bills just could not move the ball in the first half. So that's where I took my L in Prize Picks tonight. I hammered the Hammond over because I knew he was going to play a ton. But Shakir over receptions was the L just because the Bills could not move the ball. So got a little bit upset about that, to be honest. And then Kampmauer was tight end. And tight end was also pretty wide open. He was fine. And then the Saints defense finally, again, didn't run awful defense. They weren't the highest scoring defense, but they weren't the lowest scoring defense. So that was the recap there. And then for the second half showdown, I did go all offensive players, went Hammond and the captain with Zappy, Nixon, Humphrey, and then Brown and Garber. So overall, it's about $100 profit on DraftKings for me tonight. Did lose on prize picks though, so minus 100 or minus 200 prize picks plus 100 DraftKings, minus 100 overall day for me. With both combined, but I'll take that, especially with the $2,000 plus win yesterday. So that's a recap of everything. Again, that's my reasons for I have zero regrets for how I played the Patriots, loading up all three wide receivers. I would do that again in a heartbeat, even with that a little bit of uncertainty. Again, I thought minimum they were playing, at least a half where they get like those three to see an entire game. So, or an entire half, I should say. So. Oh, and then I went to Ian Book. So that was one where, I did not think I knew Drew Lock was the most popular quarterback, but I did not think he was that much better of a play than Ian Book, because Ian Book has rushing upside. I was expecting similar playing time for them both. I was thinking, around 3/4 for both. Book got a little bit less. Lock got about that. But Book ended up outscoring Lock. But yeah, so that was the recap, everything there for DraftKings guys. Hopefully you're able to get in the cash on a very, very, very ugly slate. All right. So 6 games. We have some news for some teams. Some teams we don't. It's frustrating. Some teams are just not great at reporting. It is a little bit tilting. But let's quickly run through what we're expecting here for each of these teams. For the Bears, Fields is expected and the starters to play the entire first half against the Browns. The Browns, we know Jacoby Brissett is starting, but other than that, we don't know how long he's going to play. The Eagles, we don't know anything yet. The Dolphins, we also do not know what's going to happen there. Washington, they said a drive. The starters, very limited. So, again, I'm expecting that to be one drive for the starters there for Washington. For Baltimore, we know Lamar Jackson's out, so it should be a split there with Huntley and Brown. Arizona, we don't have news yet. I would think it's going to be similar to how they played it last game. Tennessee, kind of the same thing. I'm assuming it's similar how they played it last game. Tampa Bay, we know Tom Brady is going to play their healthy starters. Now, we don't know exactly how long, but Brady and the starters are going to play in this game. For the Colts, we know Matt Ryan, the starters, are going to play a half. And then rounding it out, the Vikings, we know Cousins and the starters are not going to play, but they do now have 3 quarterbacks. They added Mullins, so Manning, Mond, Mullins. Makes it a little bit tricky there. And then for Denver, we know Russell Wilson starters not going to play, so that'd be Johnson and Rippon splitting time there. So that's kind of the overall quick breakdown of what the teams are, what we know right now at the moment, and all those quarterbacks. So with that being said, again, running through quarterbacks really quick. A half with Justin Fields obviously makes him look like a pretty good play. Probably staying away from the Browns quarterbacks. Eagles, again, I have no idea what's happening yet. Same with the Dolphins. For example, if the Dolphins rested Tua and Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson played the whole game, then obviously he's going to look like the best quarterback play in the slate, but we don't know that yet. Washington, I'll mention Howell. I think he'll play about a half. I think he's in play. The Ravens, both quarterbacks I like on Huntley and Brown. Both have rushing upside. Both expect to get a half. Arizona, we don't have clarity yet, but if it's how they played it last game, then you're going to see a lot of McSorley and those kind of backup guys. Tennessee, Malik Willis expected to get a half or so, maybe more. He looks good. Tampa Bay, we have no idea how long Brady's going to play for. I probably wouldn't do it. Again, Matt Ryan, I don't know if it's worth it to go to half of him. I guess it makes him in play, but there's other quarterbacks just with a lot of rushing upside. Minnesota, they're going to stay away, and then I'm going to stay away from the Denver situation as well. So that's quarterback. Let's move on to running back and run through each of these teams really quick. So running back for the Bears, again, the top 3 guys got banged up. We'll see. We'll see about Montgomery. We'll see about, I think, Herbert. Okay, practice, so there's a chance he could play. And I know Ebner got a little bit banged up as well. So, we'll keep an eye on that. If all 3 guys don't play, they're actually going to be pretty thin and with just, Evans and Toggle as the running back. So, there could be some interesting plays here for the Bears. But, again, we'll keep an eye on the news. For the Browns, again, last game we didn't see Chubb or Hunt. They could play a bit in this game. We did see a lot of Ford and Kelly. We've kind of seen that the last couple games for Cleveland. Taking a look at the snap counts, you did see Ford play 23 snaps and Kelly play 35, with Dearness Johnson only playing 7 snaps. And then Felton's more used as a kind of wide receiver. So It's been more of the back end guys who have been getting the work here for the Browns. Both those guys would look good, especially if the starters do not play. For the Eagles, again, there's uncertainty now. We did see 4 running backs play last game. Gainwell and Scott kind of got the first half work. Huntley and Brooks kind of got the second half work. Taking a look at the snap counts, you did see a pretty even split. Gainwell 19, Brooks 18, Huntley 18, Boston Scott 14. So they all look okay if all 4 play. Now, if like Gainwell and Scott don't play, then Huntley and Brooks are going to look pretty good. For the Dolphins, well, the Dolphins have a lot of active running backs. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs last game. No one played more than 17 snaps. That was Myles Gaskin. So hard to feel confident anyone there right now for Washington. So we actually saw Robinson start the game. Him and Gibson kind of split the work. And then you saw Williams, Patterson, and Bonifon. So starters, is Gibson considered a starter or is Robinson considered the starter, right? Either way, I don't know if it's worth it to go to either of those guys. So like you might get Gibson and Robinson kind of splitting the touches on that opening drive. Then you might get a lot of Williams, Patterson, and Bonifant. So I think the back end guys look okay there for Washington. For the Ravens, so McCrary got banged up last game. We'll keep an eye on his status. If he is unable to go, that would make the running back room a little bit thinner with only Davis, Hill, and Tyler Beatty available there. Taking a look at snap counts for the Ravens last game, you did see, again, 4 running backs play. Tyler Beatty played the most, 25 snaps. Hill and Davis both got 15 snaps. Arizona, so taking a look at snap counts for them last game, you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs play. Ingram played 28 snaps. Eno Benjamin played 21 snaps. Pledger played 8. Ward played 7. Williams played 4. Ward also got a bit banged up shoulder injury, so he might not be available. So Williams could start the game, but he didn't play a ton. So that would leave just Eno Benjamin and Ingram. So if that is the case, where Ward is out and Williams probably only gets like a drive or so, then I think Benjamin and Ingram both look pretty good. For Tennessee, so last game you saw basically 3 running backs play, and Chestnut played 27 snaps, Haskins 33. Hilliard started, only played 4. So Hilliard, not a ton of interest, but Haskins and Chestnut I think both look like pretty safe plays. They got a lot of work last game. For Tampa Bay, how much the starters play, we don't know. So Fournette did play last game, and then you kind of saw Rachaad White and Keyshawn Vaughn get mixed in. So like the top 3 backs are all in play for me, but no standouts there. I think White would probably be my favorite because his pass catching upside. Now for the Colts, it's a little bit interesting, right? Because we know the starters are going to play about a half. So, oh, I actually missed this. Okay, so Taylor and Hines are both out, but Matt Ryan, hold on. Just want to make sure I'm not going crazy here. Plans to play finale against the Bucs. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on news. But yeah, so Taylor and Nyheim Hines will sit out the final game. Okay. So that leaves Lindsey, Williams, Jackson, and Price. And taking a look at snaps last game for the Colts. Where are the Colts? So you saw 15 snaps for Jackson, 21 for Price, 6 for Williams, and 10 for Lindsey. So, again, it was more the back-end guys that got a lot of the work there. But 4 running backs will still be available, even the top 2 guys sitting. For Minnesota, I don't think we see, again, Cook. Maybe a series or so of Madison, but expecting a lot of Nwangwu, Chandler, and Kobach. All 3, I think, are fine options. Again, Madison did start last game and played 8 snaps. Kobach played 19. Chandler played 11. Nwangwu played 14 snaps. And then for Denver, so Denver was relatively thin at running back last game. They just could not move the ball. Was pretty tilting early slate ownership. Some of those guys were low owned, and the faders went unpunished. But yeah, Hardy played 22 snaps. Stevie Scott played 27. Mike Boone played 17 snaps, but Stevie Scott got released. However, they did sign Divine Ozigbo, so I'm expecting 3 running backs in Boone, Hardy, and Ozigbo. All right, wide receiver for each of these teams. I feel like I'm going crazy here. Guys, with the Bears. So Fields on 823. Fields is expected to play the entire first half in Saturday's preseason finale. In addition to Field, most of the starters will play the first half as well. And then looking at the wide receiver news, Mooney and the Bears starters are expected to be sidelined against the Browns. But again, that was 2 days before. So I'm thinking that these starters will be playing with Justin Fields. So It does make Mooney, Jones, and St. Brown all in play, assuming that they do end up playing. If they get a half, that makes them pretty good, and that's probably where I look to for the Bears wide receivers. For the Browns at wide receiver, so looking at snap counts for them last game, they played a lot more of the back-end guys. You saw 6 wide receivers play. You saw 61 snaps for Mike Harley, 43 for Jamarcus Bradley, 30 for Baldwin. So, again, it was a lot of these kind of back-end guys. Baldwin got a little bit banged up, but I think more of the back-end wide receivers where I'd look to there. Philadelphia, again, we don't know yet what exactly is going to happen here in this game. It's a little bit hard to say right now. If the starters do get a good chunk of run, obviously you look to them. If not, then maybe looking at guys like Rager, Kane, even a Kobe. Looking at their snap counts, you saw 41 snaps for Deion Kane, 28 for Rager, 35 for Hightower, 36 for Kobe. So those are probably all the guys to look to there for Miami. They're pretty deep at wide receiver, and we don't know exactly what's going on yet. So I don't have any strong takes here. You did see Eric Uzokama had a really good game in 31 snaps. He played the most. So he'd probably be the guy I'd look to there. Washington and Baltimore, again, the starters are going to play a drive. So that means McLaurin, probably Dotson, and Samuel, I would say, get that drive. Cam Sims in concussion protocol. Don't expect him to be available for this game. Still leaves a good chunk of wide receivers available, though, so not a ton else that I love here for Washington. On the Baltimore side, taking a look at wide receiver, again, they are also relatively deep at wide receiver. We saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 6 wide receivers play. Polk played 25 snaps, and then Bridges played 31. Those are the guys that played the most. Again, you didn't see any of the main guys. So I would say probably Polk and Bridges would be, and even Webb, I think, are in play. For Arizona, so I'm expecting a similar workload to last game. So Arizona's pretty thin at wide receiver. You saw a lot of run for Dortch Isabella last game. Taking a look at Arizona and their snap count. So, and also Victor Bolden. So Victor Bolden played 42 snaps. Dortch played 53 snaps, and Isabella played 57 snaps. So it's kind of back on wide receivers didn't play a ton. But yeah, Dortch, Isabella, and Victor Bolden all played a ton. I think all three look very good here, assuming we're going to get similar run to last game. On the Tennessee side, so we'll take a look at their snap counts really quick. So we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide receivers play. No one really played more than like 20-ish snaps, so not a lot of standouts here for me for Tennessee. Tampa Bay, again, we know the starter's going to play. We just don't know how long exactly they're going to play for, so a little bit hard to say. Could you look to guys like Mike Evans, maybe Julio Jones? Sure. I think more the kind of in the mid-range guys would probably be the best bets. They might play a little bit with the starters and then get some run of the backups like Ty Johnson, Scotty Miller, and Darden. Probably your best bets there. For the Colts, so half for the starters does make a guy like Michael Pittman firmly in play. I think he would be my favorite option there. Paris Campbell, again, top-end guys all really in play. Patman and Strachan got a lot of work last game, but that was with the starters not playing. Minnesota and Denver, so mainly looking to cut more of these mid wide receivers like Smith, Marset, Olabisi, Johnson. They've gotten the most work over the last couple games for the Vikings. So Olabisi, Johnson played 32 snaps last game. Smith, Marset played 32 snaps. That was the most. The next most was Tristan Jackson, who played 24, followed by Myron Mitchell, who played 19. So Olabisi, Johnson, and Smith, Marset are the guys looking to there at wide receiver. And then finally, Denver. So questionable quarterback play here for Denver. Again, they weren't able to really move the ball a ton last game. Looking at wide receiver, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers play. Seth Williams played the most, 32 snaps, followed by Darius Shepard at 26. So that is where I would look to there. And then tight end. Again, tight end is going to be relatively wide open again. So assuming that Cole Kmet plays in this last game, and that he gets a half, I think he does stand out as a pretty good tight end play. If they do end up resting, if just like Fields plays, they rest all their other starters, then maybe look to a guy like O'Shaughnessy. On the Cleveland side, so again, we don't have any news in Cleveland yet, so it's a little bit hard to say. They played 4 tight ends last game. Griffin Stewart played the most. He played 33 snaps. Actually, it was Mitchell Payton that played the most, 38 snaps, followed by Griffin Stewart at 33. So the back-end guys would be in play. For Philadelphia, they still have a good amount of guys available, but Again, there's kind of some uncertainty in what's going to happen, but Noah Toajayi played 44 snaps, so he would probably be where I would look there. On the Miami side, taking a look at snap counts for them, they played 4 tight ends. Gesicki actually played the most. He played 25 snaps, followed by Carter playing 22 snaps. For Washington, so Washington's actually pretty thin at tight end. They're pretty banged up. Logan Thomas, I don't think he's going to play in this game. Bates, banged up. He's not going to play. Turner and Hodges, I don't think will be playing in this game either. So, yeah, they are really, really thin at tight end. And taking a look at this Washington snap counts last game, they only played 2 guys. Armani Rogers played 31 snaps. Eli Wolf played 40. Wolf ran a route in 24 of those. Rogers ran a route on 20 of those. So, and Wolf is on the IR too. He got injured. So, Mario Rogers probably going to play a good chunk here in this game. They also have Kendall Blanton, who they just signed off waivers, but I'm not sure how long he'll play for. And then they also just signed Hausman as well, probably just another body. But I think Rogers is probably the guy that gets the most run for Baltimore. Baltimore tight end does look pretty good. Now, okay, here's the thing. Isaiah Likely is going to be massive chalk. He's going to play 10 snaps, and he's going to have 8 catches for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, you cannot make that up. I'm no. The answer is no. I'm still not over that, okay? And I won't get over that. I won't. So, yeah. Again, Oliver played 15, or likely, I should say, played 15 snaps last game. Oliver played 31. That's where I'd look to for tight end. Again, likely's fine, right? But with only playing 15 snaps, he's probably not going to get a ton of work. However, he's going to be utilized a ton when he's out there. And then Oliver would be the pivot. So, likely a guy you can play in a cash game setting. If you wanted the tournament GBP pivot, you can look to Oliver. I think comes in at much less ownership. Now for Arizona, you did see a lot of work from McBride, the rookie tight end. He started the game, played 31 snaps, ran a route in 20 of those. I used him at a fraction of the ownership over Isaiah Likely, and he finished with a grand total of 0. But yeah, I do think he's a pretty good option once again. On the Tennessee side, not a ton that stands out to me here. We saw 5 tight ends play. David Wells played the most. He played 35 snaps, but he only ran around in 5, so not much there for Tennessee tight ends. For Tampa Bay, well, you could look to maybe the starters and Rudolph. Again, we just don't know how long exactly they're going to play with Brady. Backup tight end-wise, Cade Otton played 26 snaps. He ran around 14 of those. I think it makes him look okay. For the Colts, again, you can look to Mo Cox if you want to. They played 4 tight ends last game, spread it out, so not much there. Minnesota and tight end, they played 3 tight ends. Zach Davidson played the most. He played 38 snaps, ran a route on 22 of those. I think that makes him viable for that reason, just for the amount of snaps that he played. And then finally, Denver. So Denver played 4 tight ends, spread it out. Albert O started, played 22 snaps. Parham played 24. Salbert played 25. So, yeah, that is going to wrap it up for tight end, and that's going to wrap it up for the video as well. So, again, guys, if you have been enjoying the content, just make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Hope you guys all have a great Saturday. Enjoy these games. Enjoy college football, and I'll see you all back here in the next one.